Good evening. I'm James Bell. Tonight I'll be serving as chair. This is the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for November 7th, 2024. The first matter of business today is citizens' comments. Any citizen wishing to appear before a regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding any matter posted on the agenda was to sign up no later than 6 p.m. on the day of the meeting. If anyone signed up to speak, they will have 3 minutes to speak. Staff will time each citizen and provide a warning when they have 30 seconds left. Is there anyone signed up?
I haven't received any.
Okay, thank you. The next matter of business is approval of the minutes for the following meetings. September 26, 24, Special Joint Planning, Zoning and Commission and City Council meeting, and item 2.2, the October 3rd, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Tomlinson and a second by Mr. Sawyer. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Next up will be the zoning cases. First thing I would like to say, if anybody was here for item 3.4, zone case number 2538NN, it is being postponed to the next scheduled meeting in December. And item 3.6, number 3509, has been withdrawn from the agenda, so those will not be addressed today.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, if you want to, just to resolve that issue of 3.4, you all could go ahead and vote to postpone it, make a motion and vote now, and then move through your cases if you prefer.
Okay, that would be great. I would like to go ahead and make the motion to postpone item 3.4 to the December Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. That motion has been done. The first zone case we will be hearing today, let's get my page changed here, is item 3.1, zone case 3257Q. I'll open up the public hearing. When I do so, we'll have the staff make their presentation for us.
Good evening, my name is Cassie. This is zone case 3257Q. The applicant is AMD Engineering for 1585 Development, LLC. The applicant requests for a zone change from low-density single-family district, SF2, to medium-density residential district. This property is located west of Elgin Avenue and north of 137th Street. We sent out 72 notifications, have received 0 in favor, 21 in opposition, with 7 being outside of the mail-out boundary. Here is a mail-out notification map. And here is an aerial view of the subject property. The current zoning is residential low density. The property to the west is zoned high density residential district and is developed with apartment buildings. The properties to the north, east, and south are zoned SF2, including both existing and ongoing development of single-family homes. The future land use map designates this area for residential low-density land uses. While this request is a minor deviation from this designation, it is appropriate in the location adjacent to other multifamily uses and residential zoning districts. This request is in conformance with the comprehensive plan principles. Here are photos of the subject property and the surrounding area. Here is a photo provided by the applicant. And here are additional photos provided by the applicant. And the applicant also submitted.
So I was looking for a place to live, new to this part of town. Having an attached garage is amazing because I can utilize it for my car and for storage. And the staff was incredible. We knew right away that's where we wanted to come.
The future land use map designates this area for residential low density land uses. While this request is a minor deviation from the designation, it is appropriate at the location adjacent to other multifamily uses and residential zoning districts. This request is in conformance with the comprehensive plan principles. The proposed zone change is in conformance with the zoning ordinance, and the property is located adjacent to other apartment complexes. The proposed zone change is compatible with the surrounding area, and it will not change the character of the existing development. The proposed rezoning location is along 137th Street and Elgin Avenue, which are designated as collector streets. Collectors provide access and movement within residential, commercial, and industrial areas. Staff recommends approval of this request, and we can take any questions at this time.
Does anybody have questions for staff at this time? Okay, thank you. I know we've had this last month and brought it back up, but I'll go ahead and ask the applicant to come up and speak, and if they could advise me if they've had any, how the discussions went with the neighbors.
Yes, so we did meet with the neighborhood. If we can go back to the map that shows the letters in opposition, can you show? Here we go.
Do you want to go back to the
Oh,
the
sorry.
letter?
Corey Doolin, AMD Engineering, 6515 68th Street.
Thank you, Mr. Dillon.
So you can see from this map, the opposition is mostly in this neighborhood to the east, and where most of the opposition is concentrated, that block there. We met at one of those houses on October 24th, and they sent out, I think, notices to all the neighborhood about that meeting. There was maybe half a dozen homes represented in that meeting. They said that there were some people that were just going to be opposed to it no matter what, but there were some that were there, and they wanted to hear what we had to say. So the group brought some of those things that you saw right there. Let me show you these.
Pictures and videos.
They showed these pictures. That they wanted to show that this is going to be a single-family looking complex. It's not going to be three-story. It's going to look like a rear entry development, and that there's no garages on the front. So when you drive around the development, you're not going to see a bunch of garages. You're not going to see their parking along the streets, much like where we were in the neighborhood. The neighborhood, this is a front entry only development with no alleys. You know, when you drive up and down trying to just find parking for that meeting was difficult. It's very dense with the houses in the front entry. So we tried to show them that this is what it's going to look like, and it's going to look neat and clean, more like a residential type product. And we showed them this, and I want to point out to you that you can see where the garages are. Each unit will have its own garage, so you can pull into the garage and walk in the door and go into your own unit. And so it's a safe thing. This is intended not for student housing. It's not for big families. These are 1- and 2-bedroom units. It's mainly geared towards medical field. It's geared towards professors at universities. It's geared towards that kind of a crowd. It's a quieter crowd. You can see by the landscaping, their site is much less dense than what we typically see for an apartment complex. You can see that from this drawing here. This is a test fit, and some of you are familiar with something like this. This is an architect's first stab at seeing how many units that they're accustomed to putting on, how they can fit that on the site. One of the things I pointed out to the neighbors was one of the first things that we will do as we take this project on is we're going to change that site plan to what fits Lubbock. And I mentioned to them that the access point that shows right now to come off on the east side to the residential will not be there. That access point will go onto the main collector roadway closer to Indiana Avenue on the west side. So it'll be on the can you see the mouse? There will be an entrance in this vicinity.
And not, okay.
And
so
not over here. So that was one of the concerns that the neighborhood had was, you know, this gets a lot of traffic for the school. This gets a lot of traffic for the school. This is not a solution to traffic for the school. There's nothing we can do about that. They're all really close to a school, and anybody that lives within throwing distance of a school is going to have those issues. What I will say is this type of facility, and we tried to explain this to them, this is not conducive for families of children that are going to school. Most of them are 1 and 2 bedroom units, and so it just doesn't fit that demographic. The access point, you can see they've got it drawn in with just one access point entry. We're going to maintain that for the neighborhood to have a 1-point access entry. We're going to put it over here. There will be another access point, but it'll just be for the fire department. Fire department for City of Lubbock requires multiple access points. They're going to be a certain distance apart for this many units. So we will put an access point back here. It'll be gated with a Knox box for fire department use only. We pointed that out to the neighborhood. They asked about the landscaping. They asked about, what's it going to look like? What you can see in the pictures that they show here is big yards. I mean, these have got a lot of green space. One of the things that you'll find in this, in the UDC and the adjacency from this zone to the single family, is it requires a buffer yard. It requires certain kind of landscaping. They would rather do that kind of landscaping. That's what they already have planned. You can see the setbacks here in this dashed line. We're much further away than the setbacks. This is a much less dense property than what you would see here. Well, you can't see it on this map because it's not there. There's some townhomes over here around the school that probably have around 3 units per acre more dense than what we're showing for this property, just for comparison. For the homes that we met with, I tried to explain to them, they are at about a 5 lot per acre density, give or take, maybe a little bit more. This is going to be in the 6 to 7 unit per acre density, so it's got a little bit more dense use for door, but for the feel, when you look at this from an aerial, much more green, much less congestion than what would be single family. And so we went through all of those things with the neighborhood. I feel like at the end of the evening, a lot of the people that were against it really liked it. They liked the change from this to some of the homes that are being built out there now. Some of these neighbors had their homes built by a builder, and that builder's not building there anymore, and I think that could be a bit upsetting. We explained to them some of the opposition letters that you probably already read mentioned about, the developer promised us this and the developers promised us that. The promises that were made were not on this property. The promises that were made were on this property here. So you can see this is where the park is planned. This has nothing to do with the subject property. I believe this is still planned to be a park and walking trails, etc. I can't speak to that developer's plans and when they're going to beautify that and put the amenities in. This was always planned to be single-family residential, and now it's going to serve more as a buffer between this 3-story product over here on the west side and the this denser single-family residential, and then the townhome product that is to the east. So we went through all of those things with those neighbors and felt like we had a good feedback from them. Felt like we had good dialogue. Everybody shook hands, and hopefully that worked. But we know that there are some people that are going to be opposed to it, no matter what.
Understand.
But it is what it is. So, but with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. There may be things that I have forgotten since October 24th. I forgot what I had for breakfast, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys may have, and I'd be happy to introduce our client that's going to be building that. They're here with us tonight,
Okay.
and they can also answer questions.
I do appreciate you coming up. I do appreciate y'all getting together and to visit with them. That's always a big one. I know when there's a lot of questions coming out, and I know that you're never probably ever going to get a project that you get 100% buy-in, no matter where it is, I don't think. But
Yeah.
you got to have the talk to be able to do and at least have some trust with it, and I appreciate you doing that for us.
Another thing that they were concerned about, or somebody brought up, was about trash collection. They don't want a bunch of dumpsters shown out there. And they will have one compactor that will be enclosed, but the rest of these will have very similar roll-offs
Like-
that will be internally collected by the unit. So it's not going to be a bunch of dumpsters on the edges to their access. Some of the concern was traffic, and I tried to explain to them that the collector roads are built to handle the traffic for this. The thoroughfares that they're tying into that right now are a nightmare are designed for this flow of traffic when the construction is complete. They all brought up concerns about the outer loop and what's going on with it. And us just getting there, we were all late because we didn't plan enough time to go through Loop 88 construction traffic at 5:30. That's going to be a problem no matter what for about a year and a half. And we tried to explain to them that this project is a year and a half build. And so by the time this project is built, the interchange there at Indiana and Loop 88 should be completed. It should flow smoother. It should be operating as the planners have designed. So I think that we kind of calmed some of that frustration down a little bit. So anyway, be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Doolin? Okay, again, thank you. Like to call for any of the opposition or neighbors if they'd like to come up and give their thoughts at this point. Is there anybody here to speak in opposition? Okay, seeing none, I ask, is there anyone here to speak in favor? Okay, we'll close this public hearing. For matter of discussion, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Tomlinson and a second by Mr. Sawyer. Is there any discussion on this?
I mean, I would just say, last meeting, we had a lot of opposition.
No,
And it seems like it might have been quelled a little bit.
well, and I think
You did a
that's
good
one of the
job.
big benefits of getting together and talking. That's why I appreciate them getting to do it, to get some of it ironed out, because communications is key, and that's,
Yeah.
I'm surprised to see nobody here to be against, because we had some of the letters, so that obviously means that something positive came out of it.
Agreed.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, well, let's go ahead and take a vote. All of those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 8-0. Next item on our agenda is item 3.2, zone case number 3511.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the Commission. My name is Shane Spencer, and this is Zone Case 3511. The applicant is AMD Engineering, LLC, for BAR CCC Ventures, LLC, Series C, and Crotrax, LLC. The request is to rezone from SF2 to HC, and the subject property is located south of 116th Street and east of Indiana Avenue. We have sent 17 notifications, and we have received back 3 in favor. Here's that notification map right there. Here is the aerial map. There is vacant land to the north and south, commercial buildings to the west, and a contractor yard to the east, which is just outside city limits. And here's the zoning map. The zoning map shows SF2 to the north with heavy commercial district to the south and west, and the city limits is to the east. The future land use map designates this property for low-density residential land uses. And here are photos of the subject and surrounding property. The future land use map designates this area for low-density residential land uses, and while this request does not conform to that designation, it would be appropriate considering the existing adjacent zoning districts and land uses. And this request would be in moderate conformance with the comprehensive plan principles. The proposed zone change would be in conformance with the zoning ordinance, and the proposed zone change is compatible with the surrounding area. The location is along 116th Street, which is designated as a local street. Staff recommends approval of this request, and I can take any questions at this time.
Just for clarification, this is the area that we've had several zoning changes like this, similar in this area, from being this going to more heavy commercial, if I'm correct.
Possibly.
I think it's one that we've had Rayburn on the other side of 114th, and I know my storage unit
Yeah.
It's just to the west of where this was an old golf course driving range that got tore down. I think it fits right into where it is and what that area is being developed for at this time. Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak? Mr. Doolin, we know who you are, but if you'd please state your name and address for the record again,
Corey
please.
Doolin, 6515 68th Street. Yes, this is the old range. This is the range, and it's proposed to be just like what all the other adjacent properties are. They're going to be, shops and things of that nature for, trades and things like that. So they're all half acre. There's no sewer available, but it's very comparable. You can see from the map, you can see this green over here. This is a very similar type product that has been put in. Same thing here with this property here, very similar. And we're going to be building on this right here. I want to say there's maybe a dozen different half-acre tracts that we're going to be able to fit in there that will be, shops for different trades. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Doolin? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this request? If so, please come forward, state your name and address. Seeing none, is there anyone to speak in favor? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. For matter of discussion, would somebody like to make a motion?
Move to approve zone case 3511.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Anybody have any discussion?
This makes sense. It's,
Yeah, that whole area is turning that way.
yeah, and it's SF2. It's going to be tough to develop that as a single family.
Oh, yeah,
so
you're not going to get
I think
anything in there.
This makes sense.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and call the question. All of those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 8-0. Next item is item 3.3, zone case 3510.
Hello, I'm Victoria, and this is Zone Case 3510. The applicant is Danny J. Everson, requesting a zone change from low-density residential district to neighborhood commercial district. The subject property is located north of 66th Street and west of Wassaw Avenue. We sent out 16 letters, receiving one back in opposition this morning. The property owner in opposition is the lot directly to the west of the subject property. Here is an aerial view. The property to the north is Alcove Trail Middle School. The eastern and western properties are developed with single-family homes. The southern property is developed as an athletic club. The subject property is currently zoned low-density single-family district, surrounded by low-density single-family district. The future land use map designates this land for residential low-density uses. Here are some photos of the property and its surroundings. The future land use map designates this for residential low-density land uses. While this request does not conform to this designation, it would be appropriate as a buffer between the existing single-family homes and Wassaw Avenue, and at the corner of a collector and principal arterial modified. This request would be compatible with the surrounding area and will not change the character of the existing development. The Master Thoroughfare Plan 2018 designates 66th Street as a principal arterial modified and Wassaw Avenue as a future collector. The intended use will be appropriate at this proposed location. Staff recommends approval of this request, and I can take any questions.
Any questions for staff? Okay, thank you very much. Is the applicant or his or her representative here? Would you please state your name and address for the record?
I'm Danny J. Everson. I live at this parcel, 7508 66th Street. And I'm here to answer any questions. I've lived there for 30 years in a mobile home, and it's always been considered an investment property. So this has been waiting a long time for this.
Waited a long time for it.
Yeah.
Your intention's just to kind of a little neighborhood center?
I'm going to sell the property to the professional that can properly develop it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Does anybody have questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this request? If so, please come forward, state your name and address for the records.
I'm Troy Brooks. I live at 7450 66th Street. I believe I have a presentation that I have.
There we go. Looks like I don't know what's doing that. You can just click through that right there.
Okay. It is for zoning case 3510. This is a picture of our property. This is a picture of the property to the west of the property in question. And they have sent a letter contesting. This is a picture from the Alco Trails Friendship School. It's just north of the property. I'm standing on the sidewalk of the school facing the property requesting the change. This is a sign of the property directly behind ours. Our property is, I can get it here, right there. So as you can see, all the property behind us is going to be residential. This is a picture of 66 running left and right and Walsall running towards the school. 3:30 and 7:15 in the morning, school traffic backs up all the way past the school, both coming and going, parents picking up their children. There's also a new elementary school a few blocks north of the middle school. And there have been several wrecks in that area. We have a major problem with flooding at the corner of 66 and Wausau. Every time it rains, both streets turn into a river and cars constantly getting stuck in our ditches as there is so much water. They can't tell where the street is. You can see the tracks where several vehicles have been stuck in our drive. This is another one on the other side. This is a picture of the Playa Lake east of 66 of Warsaw on the south side. I understand there are plans to put in a drainage system to take this water on to the east, but there's no plans that I've heard of on 66 in Warsaw as of yet. This area right here behind the Playa Lake is the where the waste transfer facility is going in. And they made a change of plans. They were originally going to go out to Alcove and go to the Marcia Sharp. They purchased the property here for a right-of-way to come out on 66th Street. With all the trash trucks coming and going, that's going to be a lot more traffic on 66th Street. There are several businesses on the south side. There's ServPro, Soccer Box, and there's a business park on west of us. They're also building a Dollar General store on the south side just before you get to Alcove. Due to traffic and flooding, we need to keep the north side of 66th Street residential and also protect our property values. Thank you.
Hey, can I ask, where is your house related to this property?
Our house is, the property you're in question is on the west side of Wausau. Ours is on the east side of Wausau.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition? Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Bonnie Brooks. I live at 7450 66th Street. I've lived on this road for 58 years. My address has changed many times as the road has changed. I never moved. I was there. But we were also annexed into the city. and the address changed again. So I think I'm the person who has lived the longest on this particular road. It has become increasingly more dangerous to get in and out of our driveway. There have been several accidents on both Wausau and 66th. I'm 68 years old. I'm semi-retired. Danny Everson has been a quiet and respectful neighbor to us and my parents the last few years, until he decided, or his family decided, I'm not sure which, to begin to sell this property off. This has caused a lot of problems for us, a lot. I will not go into them. He sold the easternmost part of his property that we are discussing today to build Wausau. Wausau is right next to our property line. We were promised a fence and a buffer zone. We have gotten neither. The traffic noise and the lights are constant. Night, the lights are constant. People race up and down that road. It's just really become a very horrible and difficult situation. Our plan was to live out our days quietly in the property I grew up on that was willed to me by my father. Making the property beside us commercial just adds insult to injury from what we are already suffering. Please, I beseech you, let the commercial property stay on the south side of 66th. Let the residential stay on the north. Danny made a lot of money off the sale of his other property, but he has not changed or improved his property at all. It is my belief that someone else is pushing him to rezone this property to commercial for their monetary gain. There is already a commercial property for sale sign on this property. I respectfully request that you deny this zoning change. Thank you. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions? I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak in opposition to this request? Okay, is there anyone else to speak in favor of the request? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. For matter of discussions, do we have a motion?
For purpose of the discussion, move to approve zone case 3510.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can a discussion?
Kristen, can you remind us the permitted uses for neighborhood commercial, just so we know again?
The neighborhood commercial district is your most restrictive commercial district. It focuses on retail type uses, but so it allows shopping, retail, it does allow restaurants. It does not allow automotive type uses or things of a higher intensity in commercial nature like that.
And remind us the fencing requirements, if any.
So they will be required to construct a buffer yard along Wausau Avenue because 66th Street will be their front. So Wausau will be a side street. There will be a landscape buffer yard. I don't want to give you the wrong number. Minimum 5 foot in width, possibly 10 to 15. They are not required to construct a fence, but they can choose to do so with their landscape.
So these, potentially, this property would have to front 66. It can't front Wausau, whatever it is.
That's correct.
And why can it not front Wausau?
Because on the master thoroughfare plan, 66th Street is designated as an arterial, which is a higher intensity roadway than a collector. And so the definition of your front lot line requires the more intense roadway to be the front.
Okay. Good to know.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I don't have any questions. Just want to address the water issue and the traffic as well. 66th Street is a bond project, so that is going to be widened to 5 lanes with a drainage channel. on the south side, so that should address some of the drainage issues there, all the way to 66th Street, which is also being built right now. There's also a bond project going north, so that entire area is being developed right now from the city standpoint. So that should kind of address the traffic and the water both. Jordan kind of answered one of my questions about, I'm just looking at the letter here, and it says, increased community convenience rezoning would provide nearby access to essential services. One of those services lists gas stations. So I just wanted to verify gas station does not fit under neighborhood commercial.
It may. Let me double check that. When I referred to automotive uses, I meant more like car wash, automotive body shop,
Okay.
that type of use.
Yeah, that was my only question. So.
Neighborhood service restriction.
Is there an intended use for this NC, or is it speculative zoning, or what are we looking at? Does anyone know?
I do not know what is proposed. I'll defer to the applicant, but to answer your question about the fuel sales, it is a limited use in the neighborhood district, and those additional regulations state that it could not have more than 2 fuel dispenser islands, no more than 6 total fuel dispensers, and cannot exceed 1,500 square feet of gross floor area. Mhm.
Any other questions, concerns?
So, Kristen, so you're saying that there's no way curb cuts, entrance, any allowed, any form of getting in and out of this property from Wausau?
Correct.
That's what you're saying?
Mhm.
It's long and narrow.
You can't get in and out.
And Brandon, did you say Wausau was part of the improvement bond package, or is it just 66?
It's just 66th Street be widened. So that intersection of Wausau will be part of it, but the street itself is not.
Okay.
So yeah, how do you
Just
get
to make
into
sure they
it if there's
understand
no
that.
curb cut going down one side?
You enter from 66th Street, and then I have no idea what you do.
Because that's not a very wide property.
No. And then buffer yard, both sides, fencing.
We did one of these off of like Frankfurt, I think. It was very narrow also, and they're out there building. It looks very interesting, but it can be done.
What are they putting on the property?
I think it's like garden offices over there. But
That would be
I think that's a challenge for
a long
the
parking lot.
engineer or whoever is designing that property. I think neighborhood commercial is meant to be a buffer, right, between commercial and residential, so it's not wildly
Yeah.
out of consideration.
What about an entrance on 63rd Street?
Sorry, my mic is not coming on. There would be a buffer yard required there as well.
So no entrance there either.
Nope. So 10-foot buffer yard will be required on the north, west, and east property lines.
And what's the width of this
Really?
property?
Leaves you with nothing.
About 156 feet of width.
No, but buffer yard parking.
I wonder if
You
they're
got
already
me.
on the property to the west and they're just piecing it together.
It's better served as family. It's better served to stay as a family deal.
I have no idea.
So Kristen, you said that there's not a fence requirement? It's
Not a fence.
on the west side? of-
No, it will be a buffer yard requirement.
Buffer yard is allowed.
Trailer houses there.
And so is it true yet that you can do a buffer yard, a masonry fence in lieu of the buffer yard yet?
So on Monday, but it will only be on the rear property line, so only
On
on
the
the
rear.
north property line.
Okay.
Mhm.
Man,
Really,
I guess I go back to my question of, is there an intended use on this, or is it speculative? And I guess, can we ask the applicant that, or who?
Yeah, I'd ask, because he was saying he was trying to sell it to somebody in this thing.
Hi. So the applicant has submitted a letter, should be within your packet, to explain that he would like to sell this property as a commercial project. He doesn't have any intended retail or anything as of yet. He's going to leave it up to the developer.
I almost feel like if it were to be approved, zoning this to neighborhood commercial almost protects everybody around it, because there's almost nothing you can do with it. I mean, if you only have
But
156
if you do
feet.
that, you're never going to sell it.
Yeah. Or you just leave this residential.
Is that our problem, though, if you can't sell it?
Yeah, I guess you really
That's
can't.
true.
Residential, I don't see it being residential, because it'll never be developed residential.
Well, you can light up trail houses on it, is the only thing I see, but you can't because it's not zoned correctly. All right.
May I make a comment?
Sure.
Yeah, I understand my neighbor's concerns. You know, there is a lot of traffic there. Wausau now represents the only north-south avenue that goes to the new development north of our parcels. And it's going to be difficult to find another use. You don't want a long line of duplexes or something like that there, I don't think. And neighborhood commercial was chosen because, you know, a 24-hour gas station I knew would bother my neighbors, of course. So I thought neighborhood commercial would be appropriate, but from what I understand, there might not be access allowed off of Wausau. That's
Yeah,
Correct.
You're not going to have an entrance curb cut access of any kind off of any street except 66th.
Yeah,
So,
that seems a little bit odd.
Yeah.
yeah, we don't make the rules.
And if it's not, if, I don't know what your situation is, if it's contingent upon, the cell's contingent upon getting it rezoned, you may want to get back with staff and try to figure out what it is, the plan moving forward. What is it that you're trying to do with it, or whoever's going to buy it, what do they want to do with it to help staff kind of point you in the right direction for the rezoning? Because, I don't know, just my opinion of it is going neighborhood commercial really doesn't do, it
I don't think it
It
helps.
puts
That doesn't help you.
Puts more restrictions on it than, but I don't know what it is you're trying to do, or
Well,
who.
currently, you have to go to 82nd Street or Milwaukee to get a cup of coffee. I mean, there's really no neighborhood commercial on 66th Street. The developer in Escondido, they have some properties that are available, I think, on 50th Street, but nothing planned as yet, I don't think. And the area is growing rapidly. 66th Street will be widened, I think, next year. And so I'm really not sure, you know.
So right now, do you have a buyer lined up, or is it just putting it for some?
No, I'm just, I did hire a real estate agent to help me put this property up for sale. And they did put up a sign, you know, earlier than I expected. Without, you know, telling them. But no, that's, I'm just, you know, expected access off of Wausau.
Mr. Chairman, Victoria had a good point. This property is 3.5 acres. It could be subdivided into multiple lots because the minimum lot area is 6,000 square feet, minimum lot width of 60, where if you were to divide it, then those lots that don't border 66 or 63rd would front onto Wausau.
Got you.
Mhm.
All right.
So if we went ahead and.
But that's still, I'm sorry, James, that's still going to require a buffer on the west
It would.
and east and, or north and south. And you're going to
The
front
north
Wausau.
and south would only be those two end lots. So if you were to divide
Okay.
it up into multiple lots, yeah.
Okay.
So even if we zoned it neighborhood commercial now, then he could subdivide it later
Sure.
into, okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank
To me,
you.
that's almost better
Good
than
job, Victoria.
single family.
Right, so.
It is leading up to the school. I mean, it's, traffic is going to be thick there anyway,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
Okay. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Victoria.
So the people that spoke tonight, are they on the east side and west side of the subject property? Just east.
Just the east.
Y'all are y'all on the east side of the property?
Yeah, they're across the street off of Wausau.
How about the person on the west? Did anyone talk to them?
Through the opposition.
I talked to them, they sent in
The letter.
email that they did not want the property changed.
Where is that? I'm just looking for that letter. Whatever. Oh, was it paper? Shit.
Okay. Is there any other discussion?
Yeah, I say something else. Yeah, I say something else or you vote.
Yeah, we'll let you.
There are plans to widen 66th Street, and that's at least a year off. They're working on up and down to alleviate some traffic. But as far as the water, I mean, there's no place for it to go. They put in Wausau, and it slopes all the way from 58th.
I understand that, but all we can do is consider whether it's pertinent, if this is a good zoning spot for the land. That's not in our purview for the drain. And I understand your concerns, and that's one of the things that city looks for. And I think, as Brandon had said earlier, we know it's going to be wide and they're going to have drainage ditches. So that's going to be one that's coming. And from what I get, this is not a ready-to-go project anyway, even if it was approved.
Right, thank you.
But is it fair to say, let me ask you, is it fair to say that the majority of the complaints I'm hearing about this zone case are flooding and traffic?
Traffic more so.
More so than flooding?
Right.
Okay. So that's something to consider whenever you're in
When
favor or against.
Yeah.
Brandon, I think to address the.
Did you address that?
Have we got a motion yet?
Yes, we got a motion in a second.
All right, so, you look at this, and there's so much commercial across the street. It's very narrow there. I don't know what you're gonna put there. I think it'd work better as townhomes, residential, some kind of high-density family housing, something more. I mean, I can't see you putting commercial there.
And you've got residential on
On
directly
both
to the
sides.
west and residential
So-
directly to the east.
Yeah, I'm with Susan on
And you're
this one.
slipping
Slipping that
commercial in the
Yeah.
middle.
Well, and could you subdivide it for that?
Residential,
For
sure.
residential.
Why not?
Yes.
You could
I mean,
subdivide it.
you could
There
fit three very nice homes right there
Well, he
with
could-
large
Yeah, but-
property, yeah.
Buy it, put duplexes on it.
He could- he could do-
Something appropriate near a school.
Yeah, he could do townhomes or single family or
Yeah.
1 acre tracts all up and down Wausau.
Oh,
I almost think he would be able to, I mean, if we're talking money, he can almost get more for it.
Residential, yeah.
Because if a commercial guy's just gonna wanna buy the corner and he don't want the back of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let them put the Starbucks across the street.
Street on the south side.
Or whatever nameless
Yeah, it's not
coffee
a
brand
Starbucks.
it is.
We don't know anything about coffee up here.
No, sorry.
So this, I know I'm getting off here, but on the south side of 66 where there's all these businesses, is that, and it's still showing as low density, single family, is that just old zoning that was never updated and then it was,
It was annexed in 2018.
okay.
So that means all the stuff that was annexed, instead of going into T, it went into that.
Yes.
So,
And it was, all that stuff was there
Mhm.
prior to the annexation?
Yeah, it just hasn't,
Yes.
zoning hasn't caught up with it yet.
yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions, or are we ready to vote?
There you go.
Call it.
Okay, we'll call the question. All in favor of zone case 3510, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Nay.
Can we have a show of hands?
Yep. Okay, all in favor, aye.
Jordan? Yeah, okay. Okay.
2. All opposed?
Okay.
The motion fails 2-6. It will be going to city council still, so still be able to go back for that. Item 3.4 was postponed. Next will be item 3.5, zone case 3207A.
This is zone case 3207A. The applicant is Hugo Reed and Associates for Westin Hotels. The applicant's request is for a zone change from low-density single-family district, SF2, and heavy commercial district to heavy commercial district. The property is located at the intersection of 29th Street and Iola Avenue. We sent out 9 notifications, have received 0 in opposition and 1 in favor. The 1 letter in favor was sent late this afternoon and it's not in the presentation. However, you should have a copy of the letter. Here is an aerial view of the subject property. The current zoning is low-density single-family district and heavy commercial district. To the north, the properties consist of undeveloped land. To the east, there is the Westin Shopping Center, and to the west, the land remains undeveloped. The future land use map designates this area for commercial land uses. Here are photos of the subject property and the surrounding area. And here's a photo provided by the applicant. The future land use map designates this property for commercial uses. The proposed zone change to HC would be in conformance with the future land use plan and comprehensive plan principles. The proposed zone change is in conformance with the zoning ordinance and it will be appropriate at the proposed location. The proposed zone change is compatible with the surrounding area and it will not change the character of the existing development. The proposed rezoning location is at the intersection of 29th Street and Iola Avenue. Iola Avenue is designated as a collector. Collector streets are designed for medium volumes of vehicles operating at lower speeds of 30 to 35 miles per hour. Staff recommends approval of this request and we can take any questions at this time.
Is this just kind of a little cleanup of something that was there?
Yes.
Okay. It's what it seemed to make sense with that. So I have no questions for you. Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative here in wish to speak? I knew we couldn't go a meeting without you, Mr. Holman. I wouldn't want to.
I picked the really hard ones, too. I'm Terry Holman with Hugo Reed and Associates. We're 1601 Avenue N. Yes, it is a cleanup case, and this picture tells a story as well as anything. I was hired to do a zoning report associated with a transaction on this property. This is an existing hotel. It's the Aloft Hotel that's at this location. For whatever reason, this old residential zoning, that yellow piece on the property there, sort of slipped through. It wasn't picked up in any of the subsequent zone cases. It was the old remnant residential zoning from way, way, way back in the day. So we're going to call it an oops. And the property owner's lender requested that we go ahead and get that zoning cleaned up. And also it helps us to get truly HC designation via a new zone case on the entire property. So we have a consistent zone case on this tract, and it helps for lending purposes down the road. So I think it's about as easy as it gets for us on our side here. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thanks. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of this request? If so, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we'll ask if there's anyone else to speak in favor, and I don't think there will be, so we'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion?
So move.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 8-0. Now, this item 3.6 has been withdrawn. Now we will go to item 4.1, and I'll turn it over to Kristen Sager.
Thank you. So our other business item is our recognition of our 3 outgoing members. This is your last meeting, and we just wanted to show our appreciation. I have a certificate for each of you, but we'll start with Susan Tomlinson. She has served on the Planning and Zoning Commission from June 11th, 2019 until December 1st, 2024. So you're still on it the rest of this month if we have to have a called meeting. Jordan Wheatley from March 26, 2019 to December 1st, 2024. And Zach Sawyer from November 1st, 2016 to December 1st, 2024. Thank you all so much for serving on our board.
I would,
I think my very first zone case was Terry Holman, and then my last.
oh, that makes it out good. I would just like to say, being on this, I appreciate all you guys. Y'all have added a lot of insight. It's been good with you. Y'all have added a lot for the city. And from me, and I think probably from everybody else here, we appreciate everything y'all have done and dedicated for it, because we know this is such a high-paying job, and it's always so easy, and there's never any issues that we have to face.
Appreciate that, Jim. Thank you, James.
Just remember, you don't have to you don't have to take Terrace or Godbold anymore. Okay, so it is 6:58 and we're done.